How to model the shaft support. Hi, Joe Cerrone here. We're going to go through and take the two-dimensional geometry that we've created for the top, front, and right side, and we're going to create a model, a 3D model of this object. Before we start to model it, what you want to do is to look at it from a standpoint, if you were going to go and make this out of clay or some other material, how would you put that together? And the way that I would do it would be that I would have at least two pieces, maybe three. I'd have one for the bottom piece, and that piece would be 101.6 millimeters by 50.8, and I'd create the shape like that, and then one for this back side, and then possibly one more for the circular shape, depending on if you call this two separate pieces. So with that, we'll use that same thought process to create 3D models by using extrude or press pull. So let's get started. We have the model created here, and it's a front, right side, and top view. We're going to go to model space, and we're going to turn off the dimension layer. Well, before we turn off the dimension layer, let's just create a 3D layer. So we'll say layer, new, we'll call it 3D. We'll make our color kind of this gray blue, and we'll make that layer current. And then we'll turn off the hidden line layer and the dimension line layer and the center line layer, because what we want is the profile shapes of the part. With that, we're going to make a copy over to the side of the top view, and the front view. We're going to clean up the interior shape of it. We don't need this. And then for this one, we don't need that. And depending on how we are going to construct this model, we may need two of these. And so I'm going to make a copy of this. And so let's start to model it. To create the model, we'll take an isometric view, and then we'll start with this bottom of it, and we'll make that a thickness of 12.7 millimeters, and we'll use press pull for that. So we'll switch over the workspace to 3D Basics, and then we'll select press pull. I'm going to set the visual style to conceptual, and then I'll say press pull. I'll hover, I'll acquire that, and then I'll pull that up 12.7 millimeters. Then to do this part, if I try to press pull it, you'll see that's why I made a second copy. This will work, actually. It'll actually work pretty well. So let's just go ahead and do that. So this part will be a thickness of 12.7 also. But the other part will be a thickness of 25.4. So we'll hover here, click, and go 25.4. We won't need this part, so we'll delete it. And then we'll union these so that they're together, kind of like super gluing them. We'll 3D rotate this, and so we'll use the rotate gizmo. We'll click on that. We'll grab this band, and we'll rotate that up. Now these have to be perfectly 90-degree angles, so if you're having some difficulty with it, turn on the ortho. And that way when you move these, it only goes in 90-degree increments. So we'll bring that up like that, and then we'll move it. Select the part to move, hit enter from this endpoint, to this endpoint. We can delete the sketch. Don't need that anymore. And we can move this off of the sketch. Now, don't forget to union them again, or you wind up having things like that happen. So again, we'll union them, or we'll glue them together, and then we'll move it off of the base, off of the sketch, like that. I'm going to erase the sketch. And I'm going to move the part kind of generous over here. Okay. I'm going to switch back over to our 2D workspace, drafting and annotation. I'm going to turn my layers back on for centerline, dimension, and hit. I'm going to go to my layout, and I'm going to enable the viewport layer while I'm in paper space, and I'll draw a circle. And then I'll convert that circular feature over to a viewport. Show menu bar, view, viewport, object. Click on the circle, and now it's been transformed into a viewport. You can double click into the viewport, and then this is the tricky part. You have to find your 3D model. It has a little difficulty when it's in a visual style like this, depending on your graphics card. So sometimes you'll need to go to View, Visual Style, and go with a 2D wireframe, and then it'll act, it's a little bit more stable. And then we'll go and change that to a 3D view. And AutoCAD is full of little tricks and tips like that as we start to work with it. We'll make that a visual style for conceptual. And I'll make it just a little bit smaller. Double click outside of it. Save it. And we're just going to save it as the same name. It's just updated with the 3D version of it. Save. And that completes how to model the shaft support.